Hello, once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone who identifies whatever way. We are back again to talk in spoilery detail about Quantum Leap. So if you haven't seen the second episode, which it premiered on Monday on NBC and it was on Peacock on Tuesday, so if you haven't watched it, what are you doing? But yeah, spoilery talk. So let me start with Kyle once again because you're not, accustomed to
Right.
Quantum Leap and everything. What do you think about this episode, and do you have any theories after seeing this episode?
Well, theory one is that the reason why he's doing all this is to find the original character because
Mm-hmm.
he's got like a point in time that he's trying to get to.
Right.
Though I did really love the episode.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI was better than the first one, only because I guess they were just in space, so they didn't really move around too much.
Right. Yeah, I'll say with this one, I definitely didn't notice there wasn't any egregious CGI like the car
Right.
scene. So definitely CGI is better. But again, like I said, the original series wasn't known for its fantastic CGI, so I
Right.
wasn't expecting too much from it.
The threat was far more substantial in this one than in the last episode,
That I'll agree
just
with.
because they're in space and then the Ben does something outrageously at the end of the episode.
Oh yeah. I'll agree with that. What I'll say is this episode definitely reminded me of how to put it. It reminded me of the classic Quantum Leap,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of, for example, the first episode of Quantum Leap. It's Sam trying to fly a jet, and he, of course, doesn't know how to fly a jet. So you're getting to see Ben in this out of his element situation where he doesn't know how to be an astronaut,
Right.
but he has to learn how to be an astronaut. So it works out. Some critiques that I have of this are, and I think in fairness to this new series, this new season, I think it took the original series a few episodes before it got into its classic thing of what it would do. So if you notice, this episode opens up with Ben, like a narration saying Ben got into the quantum leap machine for reasons and this, that, and the other. Um, and the original series would do that same thing. Say Dr. Sam Beckett invented quantum leap and jumped in and da 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 da. But after it would do that, it would do the classic thing that you would see shows doing in the 90s where it'd be like a montage of scenes and
Oh yeah.
things,
Mm-hmm.
and you have like a theme song playing. And so after they did the thing about Ben, that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for, like, if not the classic dun 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 dun. And I don't want to do too much of that because you get copyright
Oh
stuff
yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially that song plays. And so if they don't play the original version of the song, at least
Oh.
like an updated version, like see what their version of that song is. So that's what I was waiting for, and then it just went straight to boom. Now what I will say I liked though is once there's a little bit of I guess chaos that happens,
Mm-hmm.
the chaos or whatever happens, and then it flashes and it's quantum leap. But again, I was waiting for that like theme song to play out, but that didn't happen. So I was a little bummed about that.
Well,
Um,
nowadays, a lot of shows don't really have a theme song anymore.
that is true. That's true.
Technically, I prefer to be if I don't if not a theme song. If they do have one, I want it to be quick. That way, it gets back to whatever they're doing. Because some of the shows just has this longer theme song opening song.
I mean, you're not wrong. Certain theme songs, I think, benefit. So, as an example, Peacemaker. There are a lot of people who are very much complimenting the opening theme song for Peacemaker, and I'm one of them. Where every time I turn it on, that was the first thing I wanted to see was them, jamming out and doing their like weird robotic dances. So, for me, Quantum Leap's kind of the same thing, and also with like Game of Thrones, where like with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, they do a little thing with like a map and stuff like that, and as it is going through its map or whatever it might be going through, you have the theme song for Game of Thrones playing, and it's just something that you kind of connect to with the show.
Right.
Now, I think another critique that I can kind of bring up, which isn't anything major. It's just again the way that how things were expressed in the original series and how they're doing now. So we have Ben and his wife or fiance, I should say, Addison, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do like them working together, and also with that, I liked it very much whenever we were dealing with their problems in the Quantum Leap thing with whatever year they're in.
Right.
So again, whenever we would jump out and deal with like real world stuff, I was just like, no, go back to that. But talking about Ben and Addison, I started thinking about something. So in the original series, whenever there's a point where I believe it's whenever Sam goes back into his body whenever Al's essentially taking his place in the machine. It's either then or it's another episode. But there's a point where Al is kind of talking to Sam about it, or I think Al might be talking to Sam's wife, and basically it's mentioned that Sam's wife doesn't want Sam to know that they're married or that Sam has a wife. Because even whenever Sam goes back in, he loses his memory again. He has amnesia. He doesn't remember anything. And so basically it's mentioned that Sam's wife doesn't want Sam to know that he's married to her because she knows that there's certain things he'll have to do that if he realizes he has a wife, he's not going to be able to do them. So, like, as an example, there's certain bodies that Sam would jump into where he's married to somebody else. And he has to actually feel like he loves this person, but but he has a wife, he's not going to be as faithful to the person that he has to be faithful to in order to keep up, appearances. And then I can't wait for this. I want to see how they handle this. There were episodes in the original series where Sam jumps into a pregnant lady, and basically the end of the episode is Sam giving birth before he leaps out. So the one kind of thing that again I like how Addison and Ben are interacting. But I wonder if they couldn't have, rather than make them fiance, which I know adds a whole another dynamic to it. But again, there might be a situation where Ben has to be a married man, and he doesn't know Addison, he doesn't realize that they're fiance or anything like that. But still, there could be a situation where Addison won't want to help Ben as much because she'll get jealous of the whole situation, and it just makes me feel like maybe rather than making Ben and Addison fiancés, have Addison have another just let them be like best friends, if you will, and either Ben or Addison also, again adding representation to everything, Ben or Addison could have been LGBTQ gay of something, and again that would have added more representation to everything. Right. It just probably would have made everything a little bit more interesting of a dynamic and conversational. So that was like the one thing where as they're interacting I just started thinking wait, what happens if Ben, goes into another body where he has to be in love with somebody? Because again, you're kind of seeing the reaction that Addison's having, where everyone's like, we can't trust Ben. What if he's doing this for nefarious reasons?
Right.
And then
I wonder if Ben actually knows which times, or before he jumped, if he knew which points in time he was going to. Because he mapped out a whole bunch of time streams.
So I'll say it's a possibility only with what they kind of showed in this episode, like you said, with the various time streams.
I also want to know if all those millions of times are points that he could have jumped to.
And so that's another thing where I was like, it's possible, like I said, because of what we saw. But at the same time, I don't think so. But again, it's going to depend on if we take anything else from the original series. Like I said, because there's a point where it's basically like, oh, Sam's doing God's work.
Right.
Doing all these changes. So if they pick that up, then no, it's not up to Sam. It's basically up to God being like, all right, you're going to go do this now. But now let's kind of talk about that. Because that kind of goes into a theory that I have. And another kind of, not necessarily critique, but I guess kind of. So we see that there's a flash drive and I don't even know what you call it, the memory bank, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Hard drive. Yeah. There we go. That our present team finds, and they connect to, and it opens up this big field of points in time and stuff like that. And as you said, it's kind of mapped out of like you go this way, go that way, different things. Mm-hmm. So you pointed out that on that map there's like a big point that's like flashing. So my theory with this is one of two things. A, it's where Sam is,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where they're trying to get to. Or B, they have figured out that in the present, that's where an apocalyptic kind of event's going to happen. Like maybe there's like a nuclear bomb that goes off, and basically they're trying. And again, this could go to your point where they know they have to do this jump, this jump, this jump to get to that point, but that point's where they're really trying to go. So my theory is, like I said, either the same thing or they're just trying to get to that point to stop a nuclear explosion from happening, and they have to jump to that point to stop it. And it's kind of like a domino effect after that fact. So those are my two current working theories. Now, jumping off of those theories goes like I said, it's a critique, but also not really a critique, because I'm not really critiquing anything. It goes to stuff that's happening in the present. So right now, what we have going on is half of our Quantum Leap team doesn't trust the other, because like it's the general and the security girl.
Yep.
They're again thinking that there's a possibility, even though they don't know how much of one, that Ben could be doing these things for nefarious reasons. Now, going off of that, we finally get the introduction to Al's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're not getting much of a read on her. She's kind of being very secretive, and she set her lab to kind of not necessarily explode, but get
Burn
damaged
out.
if people broke into it. And according to her, Ben went to her for this help. Now that's what makes me go from they're looking for Sam to the other point of there's like a very big, there's a cataclysmic event essentially that happens because of Ben going to her. If she had gone to Ben, I'd have been like, that's Sam. But because Ben went to her, it makes me think that Ben found out about this somehow. I don't know how he would have done it, but found out about this cataclysmic event and went to her because she knew the most about Quantum Leap stuff besides Al and everyone else working there. And maybe she was just rebellious enough to help out with whatever Ben was wanting to do. And my thing is, do we keep going to the present after this season? Like, do we get to that point in the timeline map at the end of the season? Or do we keep in the blue, not knowing what's going on, into like season 2, 3 on? Because I feel like just with the way like shows happen now,
Mm-hmm.
like just look at like Star Trek Discovery or Star Trek Picard, right? Which I don't think you've seen either of those, but it's not necessarily a season where it's episode by episode. Like if you watch the original Quantum Leap, episode 1 really has nothing to do with episode 5. But I feel like the way, like I said, the 2 Star Trek shows that I mentioned, and I feel like the way this is going, there's a connection to where you're almost watching like one really long movie.
Right.
And if that's the case, where everything, is connected together like that, where it's one long story, do we get to the point where the season ends, oh, here's what that big flashing point was on the map.
But then there's another story to continue it.
Well, that would be my thing. Like, what else would there be able to connect? Because right now, the only drama is Al's daughter and the flashing.
Let's say both of your theories are technically correct. Let's say that.
Okay.
So the first season, it's all about, we got to prevent the destruction of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next season, Al's daughter's like, since I helped you with this, why don't you help me find Sam?
That could be a possibility too.
And then we can get where they introduce the other side, the parallel universe, the dark side.
And I would really love it if they did
and
that.
At that point, they're like, okay, now we found Sam, let's try to stop these guys, and so on and so forth.
Mm. But again, my whole thing comes to, so let's say they do those things, would we still be going to the present? Or would we, because again, for me, and I love everyone. I love all the actors that are doing their thing. I think everyone's doing a great job. But for me, the thing that's the most fascinating is what's going on in the like timelines in the past and stuff like that. Because again, it's this fish out of water story.
But if we don't go to the present anymore, you could always have Addison got hurt, so now I'm taking over for a little while
Oh
to
yeah,
help
yeah.
him out or whatever.
And essentially that's kind of what, to a certain degree, would happen. Where, for the most part, it was basically Al doing everything, but every so
Mm-hmm.
often Al would, like, he'd be court-martialed. Um, I'm trying to remember. I can't. Again, it's been a while since I've seen the original series, but from what I can remember, I think they'd have like someone else to kind of go and take his place while Al was kind of dealing with the.
Would you actually see them though?
Yeah, again, it's I can't remember exactly how they did it.
Okay.
So it would either be a situation where they would see it, or it was a situation where only Al's kind of like DNA kind of meshed with
So you would only
the
see
thing,
Al's
kind
basically
of.
face and whatnot.
Yeah, or if anyone else went to go help Sam, Sam wouldn't be able to see them because it's only Al that could be
Gotcha.
seen, and kind of work the machine. But from what I can remember, I feel like there were a few other people that would go in, like if Al was uh, indisposed,
Mm-hmm.
doing something else, or captive somehow. But again, like it makes me think, like, how much more outside of the quantum leap machine can you show once you deal with your main dramatic problem that's going on right now, which again is basically just finding Addison and figuring out why Ben is doing all these leaps, and what's that blinking point in the time stream. Because once you figure out all that, again, I don't see any real reason to keep on going to the present. And then at that point, again, you're just kind of going
The
back
only other
to.
point is trying to find Sam, where they need to locate him in the past, and then
Yeah.
I don't. Where's his body?
And again, I think this is just me theorizing. I think that kind of goes back to my original theory that I had in our pre
Mm-hmm.
episode. We were kind of talking about what we were thinking, and all I can think is there's going to be an episode, and maybe it'll come in like the latter part of season one. Maybe it'll come like 5 seasons down the line. But I feel like there's just going to be a door that somebody passes, and it won't say Sam on the door. It'll have like restricted area, but like through like a window, or maybe the camera will go in the door. You'll see like a slab, and on the slab it'll have S. Beckett, kind of thing. And it's like, there's his body. So like, okay, now we're gonna go find Sam situation. Um, and it's just, yeah. So that's my theory with how they're doing Sam. Because so once you figure out all those problems, my whole thing is, if you keep them going to the present, they essentially just have to kind of come up with stories that, in my opinion, aren't as good as what they come up with for their past stories, right?
Right.
And so it'll essentially be like, all right, they're doing their thing, right? And then we go to the present. Oh my God, someone's trying to break in and do their own quantum leap thing. And it's like, okay, so we're gonna have this um how to generic. There we go. We're gonna have this generic action drama stuff rather than seeing how to solve something that happened in the past. So like, in my opinion, the whole like uh uh rocket ship, spaceship thing with Ben again out of his element, not knowing how to be an astronaut, and trying to figure out how to stop this guy from getting killed by debris on the outside, right? Does it? All right, we're good. Oh no, because the debris didn't hit you, now the spaceship is broken. If you go into the atmosphere, you're gonna explode. And then from there, how do you get these people? Because again, and you can't be like, I know it's gonna happen because it's in the future. Because then like, oh well, you're crazy. We're not gonna listen to you. Like it just adds a thing of, how do you be smart about telling people that if you do this, you're gonna die? And again, to kind of go to the point of how I love how everyone kind of interacts, especially with Ben and Addison. Whenever Ben's trying to figure out like how do we get these people to talk and everything, and Addison's like, do what you do best, get the people to connect. And you see kind of Ben working his magic on everyone. I was like, this is my favorite part, like just watching this happen. And I guess they felt like going to the present is what we need to kind of set that up, because you had
Right. The other
girl like talking
groups,
yeah, and I think it's a security girl talking to I believe their name's Ian, talking to them and asking saying that Ben is the one who kept them all together and kept them meshing and everything. And I guess the filmmakers thought, oh, we need to have that way it foreshadows and connects to this. But in my opinion, if you just show the past,
Mm-hmm.
of what Ben's trying to solve, and then you just have Addison go, like talking to Ben specifically, you're the one, whenever you were here, you were the one who would keep everyone together. So I think you just need to like look into yourself and then just use what you're able to, like do the thing that you've always been able to do and bring everyone together because you're the one who can do it. Because again, you have the thing where Ben's talking to Addison and he's like, out of us, it looks like you're the one who should have been the astronaut, which is probably very true.
Right.
But again, at that same point, you could have had Addison going, so you're the one who said I should have been here doing the astronaut stuff. And while that might be true, you're the one who's always been able to bring us together because you always know the right things to say. And again, that could have been a whole like back and forth. And if you just stay there in the past, you can have that more connection, more emotional thing. Because everything that they do in the present can be done in the past.
Right.
Honestly. But again, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to set up, I guess, more drama stuff and everything going on. But again, for me personally, and everyone else might be different, for me personally, that's not as interesting as what Ben does.
True. I mean,
with Addison's help and vice versa.
Yep.
But that's my thoughts on the episode. And again, whenever I was watching it, I just start having theory, and I was like, "Ooh, I gotta talk to Kyle about this. Like, I gotta know what Kyle thinks about this." Because again, you having never seen the original Quantum Leap, you could have completely different takes on what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, yeah, I mean,
but yeah. So I'm gonna be curious. This is only first 2 episodes, and like I said, I think if you watch the original Quantum Leap, you see that it takes a few episodes before it gets its rhythm opening wise, like with its opening stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't think the theme song really came in until like maybe the 3rd or 4th episode. Until that point, again, I could be completely wrong. I'll probably go back and watch the first season of the original Quantum Leap, and I'll see, oh, it came in the first episode. They're showing it right here. Cool. But I'm pretty sure it took a few episodes, and kind of on that same level, the opening narration, it kind of took them a while before they got like a groove of what exactly they were saying. Because I think in the first couple episodes, it was like this really long narration that was almost like a whole part of an episode by itself, kind of explaining like what you just saw. But besides that, I'm really excited to see if I'm sure they're going to kind of keep their narration the same.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of know what to do. But I'll be curious to see if they end up adding in a theme song. Because I want that theme song. Like, that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting to just like eat my food and just be like, and like kind of hum along to it. Because that was what I was really waiting for. But yeah, so you liked the episode altogether?
I enjoyed it, yep. It was terrific.
Again,
I think it was better than the first one, honestly.
Oh, no, I completely agree. I think this is... And I kind of get why they couldn't start with this episode, especially for people who had never seen it before.
But also, I'm kind of sad because if this episode's this good, you can't always have good episodes. You're going to have bad episodes here and there, too.
I mean, possibly. I have good feelings about the next episode being the boxing episode.
Oh yeah, I don't know. We don't even know who he's portraying.
Exactly, and that's my favorite part is that you never know exactly who he's playing until they show.
You kind of get a theory of maybe who he's playing because you're like, okay, boxers who could be important enough to change history.
I'm gonna go for that in just a second, but like so, what I was gonna say is there was an episode in the original series. It's probably within the first 5 for sure, where Sam jumps into this body. You don't know who he is because they don't show his image, but he's sitting down and you're thinking everything's fine. He's in like a restaurant. He's just like sitting down. He starts drinking or whatever, like a coffee or whatever, and people just look at him and go, "What are you doing in here?" And like they're getting ready to like beat him up, and you're like, "What is happening?" And then whenever the episode comes, he finally looks in the mirror and he's a black man in a very racist town. And it's just like, oh no. But what I was going to say is, I'm curious to when it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But after the first episode, they had like a trailer for like what we'll see happen over the entire thing. And in one of the moments that they show, and you kind of hear the voiceover of it, Ben apparently is going to be playing a quarterback or a football player, and it's Joe Montana. And, very famous athlete. And it made me think, in the original series first episode, the one where Sam's the pilot, and I think it's a 2-part episode too. At the end of it, whenever he leaps from the pilot that he's playing into the next body, what's interesting about it is it goes straight into the next like leap, like his very next mission, and he's a baseball player. What I don't know is whether that was a famous baseball player or not, or just like a random baseball player. But Al's talking to him, and he's like, "Well, your mission is like he never did a home run or something to that effect." And so Sam's like, "Oh, I got this," and like goes out, hits the ball, it's a home run, score, greatness and whatnot.
And then he leaps immediately.
But you don't know what necessarily he goes into the next body. But it was just like, essentially, you're getting 2 leaps for the price of 1 to a certain degree. And
when was Babe Ruth's time?
I don't think it was Babe Ruth because
it was the
person that he jumped into, whenever they showed his image, it looked nothing like Babe Ruth would have looked like. Okay. So I don't think it was Babe
I don't
Ruth.
know if he could have jumped into Babe because I don't know what time period, like what years he was.
I'm not 100% sure. I feel like Sam could have jumped into Babe Ruth, but I feel like that was within his time, his like lifetime. But again, I could be wrong. It might have been just out of it. But the one thing I will say is, whenever that first episode ended, I almost like kind of thought, are they gonna do a double leap like they did in the original series? And they didn't do it. But then they showed the Joe Montana one. And I was like, so my theory with that is they're gonna have the final episode, season finale. Mm-hmm. They're gonna do that leap or whatever he does, and then his last thing that he does, he's gonna leap into Joe Montana, throw a Super Bowl winning pass and everything, and then the team's gonna win, and then he's gonna leap, but you won't see where he leaps to for the next season. And I feel like that's how they might play that one out. Like you won't see the Joe Montana character until the last episode, where it's all right. He just finished his mission, leap. Oh, he's in Joe Montana. Joe Montana, Super Bowl winning pass. Boom. All right, he's not Joe Montana anymore. So yeah. I think that's all I really needed to talk about for this episode. But yeah, so now I'm curious to see what they do with episode 3. Mm-hmm. If they get any closer to figuring out what Ben's doing and how he's traveling and what's going on, and whether they figure out more of that map. But yeah. So, once again, thank you for joining us on this discussion that I am wanting to do, where I'm so obsessed with Quantum Leap right now. The only thing that could be better is if Stargate SG-1 was back on TV, which I don't know if they'd ever do that. I do think they're doing a Stargate movie, though, supposedly. We'll see if that happens. We'll probably have some more stuff to talk about. I don't know when we'll be able to get together to have a conversation about other things that we like. I'm probably going to watch The Munsters this weekend. And if I watch that, we will have to talk about that immediately. Because I'm expecting to be bad. And then I might be watching Smile, which is a horror movie. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've seen trailers.
Okay. I'm probably either going to watch that tonight, or for sure by the time Saturday comes along, I'll have seen it. And I'm really looking forward to that, just because I've heard people say it's good. And then besides that, I'll just be doing a bunch of my other horror movie Hooptober watching. I told you how I'm watching Dimension 20, the College Humor dropout show, D&D show. So I've been watching a lot of that. I think I have like 4 episodes left in it. It's basically to the point that if I'm eating, I'm just watching that.
Oh. Okay.
Like rather than like an actual TV show, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna watch this, and it's hilarious. I love it so much. But anyhow, so yeah, I can talk about all that whenever we do like our long episode, whenever that might be.
Our discussion episodes.
Yeah. And you can look.
Literally, I will say for the discussion episodes, if we ever get people who watch that and actually listen, and if they want more details on some of the stuff we talk about, they can just type in the comments. Like different games, different movies, because we just discuss all of this at once.
Basically, it's just whatever.
But whenever they want more details, we can.
I should probably wait for this, but I might as well just bring it up now before I end this video. You heard about Wolverine being in Deadpool 3?
I did not.
Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine.
I thought Logan was his last Wolverine.
That's what he said. What you need to do, and for anyone watching this, if you're still listening, because we're not talking about Quantum Leap anymore, if you haven't seen it yet, go online and look up Deadpool 3 teaser trailer or announcement, I guess. But basically, it's Ryan Reynolds kind of talking about the stuff that they have going on for Deadpool 3, and then just it's amazing. Just whenever it's announced that Hugh Jackman's coming back, it's chef's kiss. But anyhow, so yeah, come back and join us for all that good stuff. Anything else that we'll be talking about, and as Kyle said, if there's something specific you want to talk about, a specific movie that you want to hear our thoughts on, a game that Kyle knows all about that I have no idea about.
It just depends because I don't get to play every game. So
that is true.
If we can do it, we can do it. If we can't, then
yeah. Just give us a comment of something that we can do. Otherwise, we'll just bore you with our ramblings of things that we want to talk about. And then other than that, we will see you next time whenever you can see us discuss a long video.